Hey everyone, Daniela here with Addo Aesthetics, and welcome to week 5, our final week of marketing month. And this week we're talking about how to market through hosting your own event. An event like an evening of beauty, a peel party, some kind of event at your location to market your business. So I am joined again by my dear friend and colleague, Nicole Simpson, who is the founder of Global Aesthetics Group and aesthetic influencer. So good to see you again, Nicole.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. So let's talk about hosting events, because this is something that can be very, very powerful, huge revenue generators for practices. And really bringing awareness to specific treatments or services. If you're adding a new service, if you're adding a new product line, whatever it is, an event is a great way to spread the word about that. So let's start off talking about some best practices if you decide that you want to host an event. So in the spas that I've worked at, we've always done evenings of beauty. So that's what we called them, and we would have wine and cheese and all of that kind of stuff. We would invite our clients and do all sorts of fun things like giveaways. We would have raffles for gift baskets. We would partner with other businesses. What else would we do? We would have discounted prices. Which is really one of the only times that I'm an advocate for discounting rather than added value.
Right.
Are these events, and that's kind of what makes them special. So what are some of your best practices that you've seen?
I have a lot of them, and I think it depends on what you want to accomplish, but I think we can all agree that the purpose of having an event is to generate revenue in your spa, your medi-spa, your clinic, whichever outlet you have, to get referrals and possibly new clients coming in from your existing clients, to sell through maybe some procedures or products that might be stagnant, or just to amplify what's already working for you. And so really these are really good, powerful business tools for growing your business. So I have seen events. First of all, I've planned and hosted many successful and unsuccessful events. I'll tell you what not to do. And I've also consulted clinics through these types of events. And what I see work, first of all, you have to set a budget. You need to know how much you're going to spend ahead of time. And so you have to think about food, invitations, comfort of the people who are there, and not just an entertainment budget, but a budget of what you want to do in terms of discounting, like you said, your products and things like that. So you have to look realistically at the money part of it, and just know what you've got ahead of time.
Well, I think, and you said, set your intentions from the beginning. So, what is this event for? What is the purpose? Is it to promote Botox? Is it to promote cool sculpting? Is it to promote peels? How many people do you want to have? Like, knowing the structure of it, I think, is a great first step.
Yeah. It's a really powerful first step. And also, once you have that kind of laid out, one of the things I've seen make a really big difference between a well-organized, successful, and great flowing event and a disaster is having point people. And trust me, I've had disasters and I've seen disasters, so I can talk about this all day long. Is having point people assigned to certain things. So if you know what your intention is, what you need to accomplish that night, that eventually someone's going to have to own the invitations. Somebody has to own ordering the food. Somebody has to own, if you're going to work with your reps or your vendors at this event, somebody needs to own the outreach. So whether you have one person who just loves events and is a rock star, they might be able to take care of everything, but yourself or your office staff may not like that. So you can divvy up the tasks according to people's strengths. And so I think assigning point people and giving them ownership to make this event successful really makes a big difference. So this way, and don't overlook the power of thinking, when they even enter your clinic, what do they see? Do they see flowers and banners, or is it just a hodgepodge of people? And so thinking of this level of detail, it usually makes sense to engage all of your team and to give them, ownership so that everything comes to your vision. So that's the second thing. The third thing is inviting people. We tell you to invite again. And when you're done inviting again, invite them again. That's the one thing people commit. They love the idea, and then life happens, and people drop off. And if they don't hear from you, it becomes less important in their minds. And so you just have to really find a way to start inviting them early and remind them all the time without becoming too annoying, but always kind of just being there. So I'm not sure if you have experience with that.
Yeah, so I think that you know, planning things out, just like you said, uh, and I'm a big fan of SOPs and checklists. So as the spa owner or spa director, whomever is kind of handling the organization of this event, if you do decide to divvy out the tasks, make sure that you have a spreadsheet or some kind of document that you can keep track of every single thing that needs to be done and who has been assigned what task. Um, and then to that point, when you get to the invitation part, think about, are we going to put up signage in our spa? Are we going to post this on social media, and how frequently is that going to post? Are we going to send out a paperless post or a Evite invitation, and how frequently are we going to do that? We talked about email marketing in one of the very first videos, and depending on what your email service provider is, you do have the option that you can see who opened your email or who did not. And you can resend that invite to the people who did not open the email. Perhaps you'll send it to them more frequently than the people who already have. So
Yeah.
understanding these little intricacies are very, very important. But it's something that, I am such a proponent of being proactive in your business rather than reactive. I think that creating a marketing calendar ahead of time, so in an ideal world, you'd have 18 months planned out. In a realistic world, maybe you'll have 12 months planned out. If you're still kind of flying by the seat of your pants, maybe you're excited to have 3 months planned out. And if you're not there yet, maybe that's a goal to work towards. But being able to plan out your promotions ahead of time will make them so much more successful. Because one thing that I've seen time and time again, and perhaps this is, I don't know if this happened with you or your spa, but perhaps you've seen it before, is people wonder why their event doesn't work. And it's because they decided to throw it together a week before. And, they're like, oh, we're going to do a cool sculpting event. Let's send out one email and, 2 people show up or something like that.
Exactly.
So
I was just going to say, when we had successful events, our magic number for lead time was 6 to 8 weeks prior to really start all the action, which means, for the couple weeks even before that, we had to solidify all of our planning. So maybe about a 10-week lead time.
Mm-hmm. And that allows you to get all of your social media posts in order, all of the emails written and scheduled. And this is something that you can easily, again, it can be work up front, but if you're doing your marketing calendar, if you're planning that out, you can say, all right, in September and in, November or whatever months, you just pick 2 months. These are the months that we're going to have events. And here's all this stuff. You just rinse and repeat. You can change the verbiage, but it's like, do the work up front, schedule it out, then what's going on. If your event is in September, then 10 weeks before that, you need to start talking about it. Or whatever your magic number is. But it takes so much stress off of the business owner and the manager of the business to know what's going on ahead of time. And it also prepares your team not only to be able to be present at the event because you need bodies there, but it also just lets them know what's coming in the future. And so they're not just caught off guard. So that's a great bit of advice.
Thank you. You mentioned something extremely critical to the success of an event, and that is scheduling your promotion. And promotions are a topic we could talk about for weeks because there's so many ways to do them. But for the purpose of this video, I will say, you can plan your promotions in many ways. Discounting is, this is the one exception I think where Danielle and I agree that discounting is good to do. You could also do value-added services. So maybe they buy a package of, laser treatments or chemical peels and receive, products for free or a free hand facial, things like this. Choose what works for you. But then when you do these promotions, do it in a way that, boosts your business. And so you really want to focus on, have you been gaining traction somewhere? So have you been gaining, whether it's through your social media or through your marketing initiatives, are you starting to gain exposure and knowledge for being, the cool sculpting guy or the girl, or being the one to go to for Botox, or being the one to go to for the best facial massage that you've ever had? That's a good time to continue to promote that because you become famous for that service. Mm-hmm. It's also a really good way to reignite what's stagnant for you. So if you normally do well with Botox sales or do well with facial sales and they're slowing down, you can reignite people's passion because you've got that captive audience and you do have a promotion. But the other thing that I can tell you is a best practice, and I'm sure, Daniela, you'll have comments on this, is don't shoot in the dark. It doesn't make sense to throw spaghetti at the wall and kind of just see what works and what doesn't. One of the best things I can share with you about this is to poll your audience, call some clients and ask them, if we were going to put something on sale or if you're going to have access to discounted treatments or value-added services, what services would you want? Because this is where you're going to generate the interest.
Yeah, surveying your audience. I mean, that is, no one can tell you better what your clients want than your clients themselves. And so the better you know your ideal client, the better you know, and you can keep track of these things by what people are coming in for consultations. You can talk to another great way to do this rather than just sending out an e-blast with a survey. Pull your reports and look at your top 20 clients for the year and get on the phone with them. Ask them, the people that are your top 20 clients that have spent the most amount of money with you, why is it that they're coming back to you? What is it that they're wanting? So these are your people that you want to know. These are the people that are going to show up at your events. And they're going to have if you write everything down and see if you notice a consistent pattern, that's going to help you. And that will spread, so if your top 20 clients are liking all of those things, focus on that and that will spread to the rest of your audience. So yeah, absolutely. I'm big fan of surveying. One other thing that you had mentioned that I wanted to touch on is reigniting other treatments, reigniting the interest in other treatments. And one thing that we've done in events that has been really successful is actually doing live demos. So it takes away the kind of fear or the not knowing of what is Botox, what are fillers, what is this laser treatment. And what we've done, depending on your size, depending on your location and whatnot, we've had different demos. We'd have one treatment room where they were doing Botox demos. We'd have one treatment room where they're doing fillers demos, one treatment room where we're doing a laser. And it kind of depends. Radio frequency is a lot easier to do than a laser because you don't have to deal with the goggles and all of that kind of stuff. But letting people see firsthand what's going on, it eliminates some of the fear, and it also lets them see the power of the results. I mean, the last event that I did at the plastic surgeon's office that I worked at, we were doing Thermi Smooth, which is a radio frequency treatment, and I did one eye and left the other, and the patients could see the difference, the firming and tightening that happened immediately with one eye. And I'll tell you, we sold a bunch of Thermi Smooth. Yeah. And just because it's so much more powerful to see something firsthand, to be able to see other women or other patients like you and see the result. It's a real result that's happening in your practice rather than just the pictures that, sometimes you get just the very best pictures from product companies or service companies. It depends. And I'm a big fan of showing, this is an okay result, this is a good result, and this is a great result, because you're wanting to set realistic expectations. This is probably, this good is what we're kind of expecting. You can get a great and you can get a little bit less, but it's it's nice to set those realistic expectations. And when you do a live demo, it really does help to do that.
And you touch on something so important with that, with live demos, because live demos make the sale of anything you do much
Mhm.
easier, and it can generate a lot of excitement. But it reminds me of a point too that, if you are going to have those live demonstrations and put the manpower and the effort, it comes into goal setting as well. We've talked a lot about planning and setting your budgets and things, but if you're going to demo any treatment, you should say, okay, if we're going to do 10 demos in front of 20 patients, we want to convert X amount of people to
Mhm.
purchasing this. And then incentivize your staff, or yourself, or however your office is structured or your clinic is structured, to have a piece of that. So everybody is working hard to educate, answer questions, and has that vested interest. So I'm not sure if you've done events like that in the past, that maybe you have some experiences to share. But when I've consulted through events and even done them myself, when we've incentivized the team to reach a specific goal in terms of getting maybe new clients into a new service or reigniting an existing service, or whether it was a sales goal, we just had so much more of an impact, because people were excited, they shared their passion, and it really was contagious.
Yeah, it makes the team a part of it. So the spas that I've worked at where we've done events, we have had revenue goals is really the most common that I've with the locations that I've worked at.
Hmm.
If we do X amount in sales, then the spa or the staff gets this bonus or gets this treatment or whatever it is. And it can be a monetary goal. It can be, perhaps your Botox rep is going to help. If you sell X amount in Botox, then your Botox rep is going to give enough complimentary Botox for the doctor to give everyone a treatment or something like that. And so, yeah, I definitely have seen that work. And it does make it more of a team effort um, to that point. One thing that I wanted to touch on, we had talked a little bit before the call about one of these, not specifically with live demos, but a point that you can use to make them successful is the idea of a passport.
Yeah.
And so you're wanting to, what the idea of the passport is getting your patients or clients to see everything that's going on in the event. And something that we've done in the past is, we're giving away, we're doing raffles. So we've reached out to our product reps to donate gift baskets. Perhaps some of the people that you've built referral relationships, like we talked about last week, some of those other businesses, perhaps they've donated gift baskets. Whatever it is, you want there to be a lot of excitement for giveaways.
Mhm.
And so, when you arrive, you get to put a ticket in there. But if you take your passport and you get a stamp at each, I watched the Botox demo, I watched the fillers demo, I watched the Thermi demo, and you're going through all of these, you get 3 extra raffle tickets that you get to put in there. And so you're making sure that that client or patient has eyes on those specific things rather than just hanging out by the champagne all
Right,
night.
exactly. Exactly. Give me more bubbles.
And it's beneficial for the business, and it's also beneficial for the client because they have a greater opportunity of winning a prize. Um, so I just think that that's a fun way to get people more engaged and more excited in your event.
Yeah, it's
So
fun. It really works. I have seen this work, different iterations of the same thing, but whether it's for raffle tickets, or sometimes, if they take their passport and they get, through every station, they receive free product samples from your reps, things like this. However the incentive works doesn't matter, but what matters is, having people stop by every station. We have correlated that to having much higher revenue producing events than those who like to hang out by the bubbles, which would probably be me, but in full transparency. But yes, it does. It works like a charm.
So, any advice that you'd like to give, or any best practices that you've seen on actually promoting your event apart from invite, invite, then invite again, as far as utilizing your own patient base? Because I know in our last call last week, you had talked about when you partnered with a charity and you reached out to some local TV stations and were able to get a lot of publicity around your event. You think that would work with hosting an event like this, or do you have any other ideas of how a practice can really generate interest?
Okay, so looking at it from a practical point of view, you actually hit the nail on the head earlier, and it's really utilizing different sources. So making sure that you paint your social media with this, that everybody knows about it, that they're excited, they see the what's in it for me and the why I need to be there. And then a mixture, if you're going to do a direct mail or an email or things like this, just making sure that you diversify how you're inviting people, tracking it. I think definitely that is the best practice that I see work. In terms of publicity, I've never submitted an event like this to media, but I can imagine that if you offered an editor or a journalist or some representative from this media entity, whether it was a magazine or even the local news, to be a model for a demo or to come and receive a free treatment in exchange for coverage or a write-up, I cannot imagine that you would not get exposure from that. I think that would be a cool way to try. And I think, when you think about your pitch, just be creative and really help them see the value. Because like I said, they like to be in the community. They like to see what's new, different, and better. And, everybody loves a free treatment. So I can't imagine that it wouldn't work.
Yeah, that's great advice. So to recap, if you want to host your own event to market your business, to gain new clients, or to reignite interest in a different service, you want to start by setting the structure. You want to know your goals. What is the purpose of your event? What's the revenue goal that you're wanting to bring in? Just getting very clear on your why you're hosting this event. You want to make sure that it's planned out very well and that you have one person who is overseeing either the organization of the entire event or is in charge of delegating and making sure that those tasks are getting done. Be sure to reach out to your reps and see what they can do to help you, whether that's donating a gift basket, whether they can be there and attend the event with you, to help with product sales, whatever, treatment knowledge, whatever it is. Reach out to them, use them as a resource. Plan ahead, be proactive rather than reactive. Give yourself plenty of time to promote this. 10 weeks was the magic number for the spa Nicole was working at. Every spa is going to be a little bit different. But know that magic number so that you can really reach your revenue and attendance goals. And then consider actually at the event doing some sort of live demo with a passport, doing something, whether you're involving other local businesses, do something to make it fun and different. And don't be afraid to reach out for publicity. Inviting people, news reporters in, reaching out to local magazines, whatever it is, the worst thing they're going to say is no.
Exactly. Don't underestimate the power of beauty bloggers either. If you've got local beauty bloggers in your community, they do really, really well with these types of treatments and in exchange for writing about them. So that's another way too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you guys all so much for joining us for Marketing Month. The past 5 weeks have been wonderful. And Nicole, thank you to you for sharing your insight and advice with our community. And I hope that you guys got some pearls of wisdom, some gems, and I can't wait to see what you're doing to implement marketing in your practice.